Hey there, it is Dave here, and we're going to talk in this video about how hormonal balance can change digestive function and lead to a whole raft of digestive symptoms, but particularly constipation in this case. And this is a very deep subject. There's an awful lot of physiology and complex stuff that we could go into, but I want to keep it as simple as possible and just keep it real so that we don't dive into too much scientific jargon and cause confusion and things like that. But the bottom line is simply this. Hormones control body functions. So everything that goes on in your body at some point or another is switched on and off by some kind of signaling molecule in the body, like me going to switch the light switch on and off, if you like. And many of those substances that switch the light bulbs on and off are hormones. And a hormone is basically a substance that's made in one gland or organ in the body, and then it's sent out in the bloodstream to flow around the body and then act on whatever target cells or target organs it's designed to act on. So a simple one would be, testosterone in a man and a woman. The testosterone is made in the testes, but it actually is sent away from the testes round the blood, and it does other things in the body as well. Same with estrogen, same with progesterone and all these other hormones that we're going to talk about. Now, it's complex, so let's keep it simple. Hormones control the digestive system, right? It's really important to understand that hormones control the digestive system. They control the muscle activation, the smooth muscle in the intestines and the stomach that helps to churn the food up and squeeze the food through the system. They function as stimulations to digestive secretions. So all your stomach acid, your digestive enzymes, your bile, everything that gets squirted out into the intestine to help you digest your food is also under the control of hormones. And your microbiome, these trillions of organisms living in your digestive system, are highly responsive to hormones. Certain hormones cause the growth or the suppression of different microbes, right? And it's not just hormones, it's also neurotransmitters, which are things like serotonin, dopamine, adrenaline. And so hormones and neurotransmitters are very, very potent regulators of the microbiome as well. So if you have hormonal activity altering all of these different things, it comes as no surprise that the hormone balance in your body can affect your digestion. Which are the key hormones that are involved in all of this? Well, again, it's very, very complex. There's dozens of hormones, if we're honest. The ones that I really want to focus on here are not really the hormones that very specifically act on the digestive system. Things like gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, not really concerned about those. I'm concerned about how the hormonal system in general in the body affects digestion, not in the specific digestive hormones themselves. So the thyroid is a huge one. So the thyroid sits in your neck, in here. It's a butterfly-shaped gland, and it produces hormones that are basically pro-metabolic or pro-energy hormones. They help your body produce energy. So if you have inadequate thyroid hormone levels or inadequate thyroid hormone activity in the body and your energetics drop down, then that can lead to constipation. So if you go onto any medical website and look at the main symptoms of hypothyroidism or low thyroid function, you'll see that constipation is right up there, usually in the top 5 or 6 symptoms, because everything slows down. Your digestive system needs a lot of energy to do its job. There's a whole amount of immune activity in there, not to mention all the muscle contractions and things that are needed when you eat your food, swallow it, and it passes all the way down and through. It's a very energy demanding process. So if you're deficient in thyroid hormones, and you're not making enough energy, that's bound to slow the digestive system down. It'll also make your hands cold, it'll make you feel tired, it might make you depressed, you might get dry skin, might not sleep very well. There's a whole raft of different symptoms that are involved in hypothyroidism there. So that's the first set of hormones. The next one is the sex hormones, or are the sex hormones. So what do we mean by sex hormones? Well, again, there's quite a few sex hormones in the hormonal cascade, but the main three are progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone. So you can just think of the acronym PET, P for progesterone, E for estrogen, and T for testosterone. You could put POT as well, because in England, we spell estrogen with an O at the start rather than an E at the start. So you could say POT, but I think PET is just a lot more endearing. So females have obviously a menstrual cycle before they go through menopause. And what we often hear from ladies in our practice is that their digestive function changes according to where they're at in the menstrual cycle. And so this isn't every lady, but it particularly applies to ladies who have imbalances in their progesterone and estrogen in particular during different phases of the menstrual cycle. So this is again quite complex, but we could say very, very generally, progesterone, which is present during the second half of the cycle, or it should be in quite high amounts between about day 14 to day 28, progesterone usually helps the bowel move more. It's pro-energy, it helps to support the thyroid. And so we sometimes get women who have imbalances to the point where they get constipated in the first half of the cycle and they end up with loose stools and diarrhea when they're coming up to the period. It can really be that dramatic a change. So we know that the sex hormones can act on the digestive system quite powerfully. The digestive system can be really messed up when women who go through menopause use HRT, or if there's a hysterectomy and they get put on HRT, particularly if the HRT is not balanced. If it's just estrogen only, HRT, that can cause digestive problems. And also chemical contraceptives, so things like the Mirena coil, different types of contraceptive coils, the pill, the injections, depot injections, they can sometimes alter digestive function as well. Now, we're not going to enter into a sociological and psychological debate about the pros and cons of contraceptives. This is just purely to mention that they can have an impact on the digestive system. And that's one of the reasons that we know for sure that the hormones can affect digestion. Then we also have stress hormones. And stress hormones are predominantly produced in the adrenal glands, which sit on top of the kidneys. So whatever the source of stress is, whether it's inflammation in the body, whether it's mental, emotional stress from work, from family issues and things like that, then changes in the stress hormones can also affect digestion. This is most powerfully illustrated in the term shitting yourself. Because if you say, oh my God, I had this issue the other week where I was being followed down the street by a really weird looking man and I thought I was going to get mugged or whatever it might be, and I was shitting myself, thinking, shitting myself with fear, then there's a real powerful analogy in that, or not really an analogy, just a fact really, that when the stress response kicks in very strongly, one of the things that it does is it causes a voiding of the bowel. And that's really an evolutionary thing to help get rid of unwanted body weight and things so that you can run away from a saber-toothed tiger. But there's a whole different set of patterns these days with chronic stress. So we're under stress a lot these days. And if we don't manage that well, if we don't manage our perceptions around it and learn to reduce our stress levels, they can have a profound impact on the digestive system as well. They can either speed things up or they can slow things down and lead to constipation. Then finally, another set of hormones that I'm just going to call loosely circadian hormones. Our bodies are designed to respond to the light and dark cycles of the earth. And we have different sets of hormones that are made and then broken down. And when they're broken down, another set are made depending on whether it's light or dark. And that all goes through the eyes into the brain. There's a gland called the hypothalamus, or a region of the brain called the hypothalamus. And that orchestrates our sensory input. And then it creates signals down to the pituitary gland, which then farms out hormones that switch things on and off in the body according to those light and dark cycles. If that gets scrambled, because we're working late, we're staring at the computer screen, we're getting artificial light, if we're not getting enough sunlight, all of those different things, that can dramatically impact digestion as well. So some of these hormones are things like alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, vasoactive intestinal peptide, neuropeptide Y, and they're all involved with appetite and things like that, and naturally appetite and eating is involved or linked with digestion. So if you have problems with your circadian rhythms and those hormones get really kaput, then you can also end up with digestive problems as well. So why am I telling you all this? Well, one of the things that we are taught in functional medicine is that we need to find all the bad bugs and things like that in the body that are causing the problems and get rid of them. And then oftentimes people's digestive symptoms will go away. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you've actually got to work on all of this. And once you work on all of this, the digestive system just normalizes on its own. And it's a very, very difficult task for a doctor or a nutritionist or any kind of practitioner to figure out which is the chicken and the egg in this situation. Because the hormones can certainly cause digestive problems, but if you end up with, let's say, a food poisoning and then some small intestinal bacterial overgrowth as a result of the food poisoning, or some fungal overgrowth because you've taken lots of antibiotics, then the digestive system can also feed back and upset the hormonal balance as well. So you really need to go back through your health history and find out, okay, when did the symptoms that I'm concerned with start? When did my constipation, for example, start? What was the timeline leading up to that? Did it appear that there was something that may have upset my hormones that triggered the digestive problems? Or was it something specifically in the digestive system itself, like an acute food poisoning or whatever it might be, that then seemed to trigger the problems? And then you can start to figure out which areas of this cycle you need to work on and that are going to bring benefits. Now, I realize that might be a little bit confusing. It's a very brief overview, and we'll do some more videos on this topic and be a bit more specific about all of this. But if you'd like some further information on how we might be able to help unravel all of this for you, then all the links on how to do that are below the video window. How to book a consultation, links that you can go for more information, learn how to do some of the lab tests that we talk about at home, and so on and so forth. So I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to speaking with you in the next video. And in that video, we're actually going to talk about just human behavior and how behavior itself can actually contribute to constipation and other digestive symptoms as well. So I will catch you in the next video, and I want you to take care for now. Thank you.